Hey guys, okay, so I figured right now would be a pretty good time to tell Marcel's birth story because my little ones are out of the house at their grandparents, and my husband is at Cabela's having his own little man time, looking at guns and doing whatever. And so, yeah, I'm so excited. I figured now would be a good time to tell my birth story, and Marcel is sleeping on the couch next to me, so hopefully he will be a good boy while I do this. But I mean, he's like literally such a good baby, so I'm super lucky. He is just so chill and just like sleeps and eats and poops, and pretty much that's it. Okay, so I do have some notes written down because I've been like just reviewing things and like writing them down as I remember, and I'm like trying to remember in which order things went because it was kind of like, I don't know. It's a really like precious, chill but like sweet and powerful like birth all in one. I don't know. I loved it though. It was really awesome. Okay, so the day before Christmas Eve, I was like, okay, we're gonna have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then all weekend and all off of like work and stuff like that, and we have a lot going on, and I just want like the house to be clean and everything. If I go into labor, like I want everything set because we had like a bunch of laundry to do and stuff. And so I was on my feet like all day. I made Dante's Christmas presents, I cleaned the house, I did like 5 loads of laundry. I was just like going ham until like midnight, and Dante was like so irritated because he wanted to relax, and I was like, no, I have to get all this stuff done. And I remember going to bed and being like, I really hope that I can just at least get a good night's sleep before I go into labor because I'm really freaking tired right now. And of course, I wake up like 2.5 hours later at like 3 in the morning, and I ran to the bathroom because I had to go to the bathroom, and I thought my stomach was upset because I had like a whole bunch of dairy the night before. I had like mac and cheese and stuff like that, so I was like, oh, my stomach did not like that at all. And of course I start getting contractions as well, and I thought, because I've had prodromal labor before where like it just kind of comes on in the middle of the night and then it goes away. And so I was like, oh, my uterus is just pissed off that I had mac and cheese last night, and now I'm like, whatever. And so I was up for like an hour, like going back and forth between trying to like go to sleep and go to the bathroom, go to sleep, go to the bathroom, go to sleep, go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay, this is like a little much. Usually I go to the bathroom a couple times and I feel better, but like I just kept having to go to the bathroom. And I was like, that's annoying. And then I was like, I really just want to go back to sleep because I know that this is like, like with my prodromal labor, it like, they come on really fast and they're like kind of short, and then they space out and then they go away. And so I laid back down and was trying to go to sleep, and then at like 4 a.m., an hour later, they started spacing out a little bit in length. So I was like, okay, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, like I'm gonna get some sleep here soon, it'll be great. And they just kind of kept coming though, between every 3 and 6 minutes. It was kind of like bouncing around between like 3 minutes apart, 5 minutes apart, 4 minutes apart, 6 minutes apart. It was just kind of like all over the place, and they were all at least a minute long, like a minute and a half long. But I didn't technically meet the like 5-1-1 rule, and so I was like, I just need to go to sleep. I was like just trying to sleep, but laying down for me is like literally, I hate it so much when I'm in labor. And I tried to lay down on my side for a lot of them, and it was like okay for a while, and then I was like, no, I can't do this. This is painful. And so I was like, I really just want to like get comfortable. And so I woke Dante up to blow up my yoga ball that I had, because I was like, I just want to like sit and like be comfortable in between contractions, and hopefully this goes away soon. So he gets up and blows that up for me, and then he goes back to bed, and I'm not trying to like wake him up over some false labor, right? I'm like, you get your sleep because there's nothing you can really do for me. And you're not going to be useless to me tomorrow if I am in labor and you didn't get enough sleep, And so I was just kind of like doing my thing. I mean, some of you guys probably saw my stories. And I was like, leaning over the bed, leaning over the ball, or like, I don't know what position you would call that in yoga, but that was the position that worked best for me, that felt really good. I tried to lay back for a few because I didn't feel like moving, and it was like twice as painful, and I'm like, okay, nope, not doing that again. So I did that until like 7:30 or 8 in the morning, when everybody started getting up for the day. You know, Malia got up and started watching cartoons, and Dante woke up, and I showed him my little, because I was timing him on my app, and I showed him, and I was like, so this has been happening all morning. And he was like, oh. And I was like, yeah, it's probably, I'm just like waiting for him to go away, so I'll probably go back to sleep here soon, you know. And he's like, okay, well, I was like really hungry too. I was starving, because I was really hungry and slightly nauseous, because when I don't get enough sleep, I get like sick to my stomach. And so I'd only gotten like 2 hours of sleep. I was super hungry, super tired. And so he goes and like starts to get breakfast ready. And he was like, can you help make this like blueberry compote that I make for crepes? Cause he wanted to make crepes cause it's Christmas Eve, right? And so I was like, okay, yeah, I can try. And so I get up, and whenever I start walking around, I feel like they come faster, but not quite as intense. But then I kind of noticed that they were still equal intensity. They were just like closer together. And so I was like, oh, this is not fun, trying to make breakfast when I have contractions every 3 minutes. And so I was like, I'm gonna go lay back down. Here's the recipe, honey, you can do that. And so I laid back down in bed at like 9 something. And I actually did sleep through in between a few contractions for like a few minutes, and I had some that were like 7 and 8 minutes apart. And so I was like, okay, finally, like, you know, they're spacing out, they're gonna go away. And then 5 minutes apart, you know, and they just kind of kept coming back. And so hold on, let me see if I'm forgetting anything. And so then I was like, well, okay, breakfast is ready, I need to eat, I'm starving. So I come out in the living room, and I'm like eating breakfast, and we're opening presents with the girls, and you know, we were just having like family time Christmas Eve morning, and I was having just like contractions in between, and everything was fine. I was breathing through them. I mean, they were pretty intense for prodromal labor, but I was breathing through them, and so I was like still thinking that it was not labor. But I was very tired and starting to get annoyed that it wouldn't go away, you know, because I was like, man, this really needs to go away. Like, I'm tired. Oh my gosh. And so finally I go to the bathroom, and I have a few very intense ones. I think one even like back to back. And I feel like I could feel him moving down, like he dropped a little bit. And I was just so exhausted because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to think. I didn't know if it was, you know, early labor or if it was false labor. And so Dante comes in, he's like, hey, how you doing? You know, and I just like started crying, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, if this is false labor, I just want it to go away already. Like, I'm tired. And if this is real labor, then that means that I need to like get up and get things moving, and I don't want to, because then they're gonna get more intense, and I'm scared. And like, he's like, why are you scared? I'm like, I don't know. And it was just like this just vulnerable, like real raw moment of us sitting there together. And he was like, okay, well, you've got this, you're totally fine. You know, he was like giving me some words of encouragement. And he was like, I think that this is probably early labor, and you should get up and walk around to get things going instead of trying to just like sleep it off. And I was like, okay. He's like, why don't we go take a walk by your affirmations wall? Because I have like a little wall in the living room with all my birth affirmations. He's like, you can read some of those and it'll get you going. And I was like, okay. And so I get up, and I'm like walking around looking at my affirmations. I have my yoga ball out there, and he puts Evelyn down for a nap because it's around her nap time. This was like 11, I think, at this point, 11:30. And I have him get out our like yoga mat that we have that's like padded, so that I can be on my knees in the living room because we have hardwood floors. And I could be on my knees and like rest on the ball, kind of like leaning over it like that, because that was really comfortable for me. And I got changed into my labor and delivery robe and like a little bralette thing, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's official, I'm in early labor, you know. And so I kind of was like trying to go through a mental mind shift there, and was just kind of laboring in the living room with Malia and Dante. And then finally I was like, I feel like we should call somebody, because we had a videographer and a photographer both coming to document my like labor and delivery. But I didn't want to call people too early and like waste their time and have them be over here for hours and hours on Christmas Eve, you know? And so I was like, I feel like we should call somebody, because it was getting a little more intense. I was still able to talk and chill and hang out in between contractions like I was a normal person. And so Dante was like, no, I know you still have a long ways to go, you know, which was like so discouraging for me, because I was like so tired of doing this already. And I was like, and my contractions were still 3 to 6 minutes apart, just like all over the place. And so he's like, no, we still have lots of time. Like, let's not be calling people and having them come over yet. And so I was like, okay. And then finally, like, Malia was getting stir crazy, and I was like, we should at least call my mom and have her come over and like play with Malia and keep her distracted, because this is like getting to the point where I'm gonna need your attention. And Dante started doing the like hip squeezes. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but he tried them out this time, and I actually did kind of like them. I've never really been a huge fan of them before. I've never really had back labor before. I did feel it a tiny bit in my back, but not a whole lot. But I feel like when he did the hip squeezes in the back, and I had like really intense contractions, it did like alleviate a lot of the, I don't know, like intensity and pressure and stuff. And so he needed to be there with me during those. And then of course, like kind of pick up our house a little bit and like get things set up. And so we called my mom, and she came over, and then I would have a few random ones where they would like happen back to back, and then I'd have like my regular spaced out ones. And so I really was confused on when to call. But finally around like 2:00, we called our midwife, Lydia, who's amazing. And we were like, I at least just want to get checked and see where I'm at. Like if I'm only at a 3 or a 4 or whatever, she can like go back home and whatever. But I just need to know at this point, because I was like a little discouraged not knowing where I was in the process. And so mind you, 2:00. So just keep that in mind. 2:00 she comes. It was like 2:15 or a little after 2 when she came. And right after she came, she was like doing some I don't know, logging some stuff on her app and things like that. And I had a like weird triple kind of contraction. It was like 2 smaller ones and then 1 intense one, like back to back. And I was like, oh, that was weird. And then I had like a really long break between the next one. And then, you know, so it was kind of all over the place. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's still early labor, but I just wanted to get checked. And she was like, okay, you know. And she asked for my consent before doing the cervical check, before doing anything pretty much, which is just really awesome. I didn't really get that with any of my OBs that I've had. So that was nice. And I was like, yes, please check me. So we go into the bedroom and she checks me, and I start to have like a little mini contraction when she was doing that too, but I was like, breathe through it. It was totally fine. And then she was like, wow, good job, mama. Like, you've done some great work. And I was like, oh, yes. What's my number? What's my number? She's like, looks like you're about a 9. Oh, I'm like, more like an 8. So I was like, what? I like look at Dante and I was like, call everybody now. Like, we did not have anybody else there. I was like, what? I'm freaking, that means I'm pushing soon. Like, how did this happen? You know, I was like so thankful that we called her when we did, because I had no idea that I was gonna be that far along and late. Like, I thought I was still in early labor. I had no idea like basically been in transition when she got there. And so that was just so encouraging though. Like I felt emotionally so much better knowing that. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so we're doing this. I'm gonna have my baby soon. Oh, like this is it. My contractions aren't gonna get like that much worse. Like for some reason I was expecting them to get like way worse, and I was like scared, and I don't know. Mentally I was just in a funny place. And so I felt so much better knowing that, and was just like, oh, I got this. And then Dante goes to like help me put my underwear back on, and I was like, babe, no. And he was like, what? I'm like, I'm gonna be pushing a baby out soon. We're not gonna need those anymore. He was like, oh yeah, I guess that's happening. You know, like I feel like the reality of it kind of sunk into him too. And so he called like the photographers and everything, and she was Lydia said, oh yeah, we have the other midwives coming, and they're gonna set up the birth pool. They'll be here in like 15 minutes, and we'll get that set up for you. Because I was like worried that I wouldn't have enough time to get in the pool and everything. And so I was like, okay, good, they're on their way. So I go out into the living room. And people start coming in while I'm having contractions and stuff, and I'm just like sitting on my little yoga mat with my yoga ball, just chilling. And she decided to take his readings, like his heart rate and things like that, and listen during a contraction and after a contraction, just to make sure that he was doing okay, which was really awesome. Because like at a hospital you would have to like lay in bed for 30 minutes and be strapped to these monitors and things like that aren't super accurate. But at home I was able to like lean forward on my hands and knees, and my midwife literally was like laying on the floor under me, like holding the Doppler on my belly to listen to contractions. And she just like met me where I was, and I was able to just labor and do my thing and not have to like be anywhere else. Nobody's telling me like you need to lay down and do this or do that, you know. So it was really just like freeing, and I felt like people were there to support me and serve me instead of tell me what to do and try and control situations and things like that. So that was just like really awesome. I'm like, what an awesome person you are to lay here on my floor to listen to the baby. So his heart rate was perfectly fine. He was doing great. And then my photographer came, Kaylee Bevins, she's awesome, and she also braided my hair. I have wanted my hair French braided for both of my previous deliveries, but I was never able to. And so, because I don't know how to French braid my own hair. And so she came and like did my hair really fast. I had a contraction during that time, but it was fine. I breathed through it, and she braided my hair, and I was like, perfect, got that done. And then I had like a very low feeling intense one in the living room while they were setting the pool up. And I was like, when's the pool gonna be ready? I'm like, I really want to get in. And she was like, it's gonna be ready soon. It's not quite ready yet. If you want to go ahead and go to the bathroom and empty your bladder first before we get in, that would be great. So I was like, cool. So I go into the bathroom, and I use the bathroom, and she comes in. She's like, actually, could you labor on the toilet for a couple contractions? It just like is a really good position for baby to come down really easily and quickly and things like that, and get into position. And even though it's uncomfortable, and I was like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I was like, okay. So I sat there and had a couple contractions on the toilet, and sure enough, they were pretty intense and low. And my last one that I had, I literally felt him like drop, like come down. It was the craziest sensation. I was like, oh my gosh. I just felt my baby come down. That was crazy. And so I like reached my hand up there, and I was like, I feel like I could feel his head, but I don't really know. And so I was like, babe, can you get the midwife? And so he's like, Lydia. And he goes and gets her, and she was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna have a toilet baby. I was like, I really don't want to have a toilet baby. And so she comes out like, can you check me? I feel like the baby's head is like right there, which I don't even know if it was or not. It was very low though. I know that for sure. And she's like, yeah, he's not too far up there, you know, just like so chill, laid back, like, oh yeah, his head's like right there. And so I was like, can I get in the tub? And she was like, yeah, you can get in the tub now. It just finished up. So I was like, perfect because I think one of my last contractions I had on the toilet with that one that felt like he dropped, I also felt a little like with my body, you know, like it wanted to push a little bit, and I was like, oh, we don't have much time. And so let's see here. Just making sure I don't miss anything. Okay, so then we get in the tub. They like help me in there, and the water is like perfect temperature. Oh my gosh, it felt so amazing. It was like so warm, and I like just get in, and I was like, oh my gosh, it feels so good. My husband thought I was like having a contraction. I was really just like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. And so I get in, and it was kind of weird because like you're in this protective like bubble, like nobody else is kind of like around you or near you. You're just like in your own space. And so I was like, I really want my husband in here with me. And so I was like, babe, are you gonna get in the tub? And he's like, I can. And I was like, well, you better get your shorts on, you know, because I had his swim shorts like laid out in the other room. And he was like, okay. And I was like, now. And he was like, oh, okay. And he like runs into the other room, gets them on. And I have a few contractions and I start feeling pushy. And so hold on, my husband is like rolling up right now to the house, and I just want him to know I'm doing a video. Okay, so he gets his shorts on, and then he comes back, gets in the tub with me, so I feel like, I don't know, I just feel better with him like right there. And I was like, I feel pushy, and Lydia was just like, okay, well, push whenever you're ready, you know, no big deal, like, just so chill, which I just, like, love. And then, so with this one, I feel like the intense, like, the need to push was so intense this time, and I don't know if that was just because he was bigger or I was just like super excited or what, but I decided to feel down there with my hand as his head was coming out, which I think made me more excited and anxious because I was like, oh my gosh, I could feel his head is like right there, you know, and it would like come out a little bit and then it would go back, you know, in between pushing, and it would come out a little bit and go back, which is good, and it allows your tissues to stretch down there. But like I was just like, man, I just want to like get him out, you know. And so I was just like this huge intense need for pushing, and so I was like pushing his head, and then hi. I'm doing my birth story. So then I could like feel his head coming out, and Lydia, my midwife, is like right there, and she's like supporting my tissues as well, and she was like reminding me to take my time when pushing because I was just like so excited.
Oh, this is live?
Yes, this is live, babe. You can say hi.
Hi.
And so anyways, where was I?
Things you come in cussing, singing a song.
And so I was like, okay, she kind of reminded me, allow your tissues to stretch, you know, like take your time, which is so funny because in the hospital, it was the opposite. You know, they tell you like, push, you got to push through that. You got to, you know, it was just like so intense and like pressuring me to push harder and push faster. And it was like so stressful. And so for her to be like, take your time, allow your tissues to stretch, I was just like, oh, okay. Thank you for reminding me that. Because I was like leaning forward, and I don't know, for me, I feel like I'm gonna tear up. Like it's just this like burning, stretching, very intense, slightly painful feeling that I'm gonna like tear up. And so I was like, I kept like lifting my butt up above the water, I guess, but I didn't realize it. And so she kept saying like, keep your butt below the water, because like if baby's head comes out and is exposed to air, and then they go back in the water, then they will like breathe the water in. Like you have to be born in the water and then come out into the air, if that makes sense. And so I was like, I think I am, but I don't know. Apparently she was helping me keep my butt under the water because I kept like, ooh. And so finally I like pushed his head out, and I could like feel it come out, and then I like took a break for a second to breathe, and I was like, oh my gosh, the hardest part is over, and then I could hear her telling Dante, like, I'm just checking to see if the cord's wrapped around or anything, you know, and she was like helping him get into position to catch, because I really wanted Dante to catch him as he came out. And so I was like, okay, this next push, I'm getting his whole body out one push, like this, I got this. This is easy. This is the easy part, you know. And so on my next push, I get his whole body out, and literally I look down, and he's just like, whew, like he just flew up like towards me in the water. So like Dante couldn't even catch him because he was behind me, and he was gonna catch and then pass him up to me. But I looked down, my baby's just like, whoo, just shot straight up in front of me. And I was like, oh, there's a baby. And so I pick him up and I put him on my chest. And it was perfect because I like got to lay back, and Dante's like right behind me. And so I got to just like lay back, and I was just like, oh my gosh, it was like so amazing. You know, they get the towels and they're rubbing the baby down and listening to his heartbeat, trying to get him to cry. And it was like just this really, really precious, amazing, relieving moment, just like so awesome. It was incredible. And he was like so purple, which I forget like how purple they are when they're born. But he wouldn't really give a good cry, and I noticed like he had some like yellow stuff in his mouth, and I look in the water, and the water looks like it had meconium in it, which, by the way, my water did not break until I was in the tub pushing his head out, which my water didn't break with Malia until that time too. And so I didn't even feel my water break. I had no idea when it broke, but apparently it was when I was pushing his head out. And so, and I didn't lose my like mucus plug. I didn't have a bloody show. I didn't have like anything, even after my cervical check, which, by the way, my midwife Lydia was so amazing with that cervical check. It didn't hurt. It was like so gentle. I didn't have any spotting or anything afterwards, and it was just like really awesome cervical check, because those can be so painful and uncomfortable. And so I didn't have any of that, just my water breaking as I was pushing him out, and that was it. And so I was worried that he may have aspirated meconium, which can be very dangerous, and they like a lot of times need to go in the NICU and like all this stuff. And so I was like, is he okay? Is he okay? And they're like, yeah, he's perfectly fine. Like, they're listening to all of his vitals. And I was like, why isn't he crying, you know? And they're like, he just has some gunk, you know, that he needs to work out, but his lungs sound fine. Like, they kept telling me, like, he's fine, his vitals are good, like, he just needs a good cry to get all that stuff out, you know? And I think with a water birth, too, it's just a more gentle transition into the world, so they don't come out as mad and upset, and sometimes they don't like give a good cry and get all their stuff out that they need to get out. And so so I was like worried about that, but they kept reassuring me like he's fine, which I was like so grateful for. And so then they helped me get out of the tub, which I was like kind of confused on how to do. I was like, okay, how are we gonna do this? And they were like, well, we can hold the baby and you could stand up. And I was like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. And so I was just like, babe, pick me up. And he's right behind me, and he just whoop, picks me up, and I'm like holding my little baby, and he's still, you know, I still have my placenta and everything like attached in my body. So it was like kind of a weird waddle situation back to the bedroom. But then we get to the bedroom, and we finally get him to cry. They were like flicking his foot and, you know, making him mad, and he finally gets like a really good cry out and gets all his gunk out, and he starts turning red, and, you know, everything's good. And I deliver the placenta, and we start breastfeeding, and like right around that time was when Evelyn finally woke up from her nap. So this was 3:06 p.m. is when he was born. Mind you, we called the midwife at like 2. So this was all pretty fast. It was like midwife comes, set the birth pool up, push the baby out like in an hour, you know, like pretty fast there at the end. So we, of course, are breastfeeding, and he poops on me everywhere. Of course, all my children have so much poop in them when they're born. It's insane. So he probably had a couple ounces of like poop. Also, this why I say he was probably born at like 8 pounds and then lost a couple ounces from all of his poop that he pooped on me. But they took my vitals, and I was good. You know, I wasn't hemorrhaging or anything. I had pretty minimal bleeding. And then I went to the bathroom for the first time. And if you are a mom who's given birth, you know that like first bathroom trip is just like the most vulnerable, like, I don't know, moment in life, because you can like barely walk, and the nurse has to like come with you and help you like go pee and stuff for the first time. And so my midwife did that with me, and she was like wiping meconium off of my jiggly belly and things like that. It was so funny. And then I actually hopped in my shower really quick to like wash everything off, because I had like just poop and like stuff on me, and I was like, can I just hop in the shower really fast? And so she was like, yeah. So she helped me get in the shower, and I just like rinsed off really quick, and then I hopped back in bed and I breastfed him some more, and we took his little measurements and everything, which is like right there in the bed with me, which was just so awesome. I love that they didn't like go into the other room or go across the room from me. Like, he's right there with me when they were taking all of his measurements. And so that made me feel better, you know, and it's like in my bed, and there's just like lots of people there taking care of me. That was one thing that I didn't really have with Evelyn. I feel like there was a moment where like my baby was across the room and nobody else was there with me, and I started to feel all like sleepy and shaky and like weird, and I was like, if I died right now, like nobody would even know. Like, I had that like super depressing thought in my head when I was in the hospital with her. And so I did not have that this time. I was very supported by lots of people there. And everything was good. And let's see here. I got to cut the cord this time, which was so cool. Dante's cut the cord with the other ones. But then he was like, babe, why don't you cut the cord this time? I was like, okay. And so I got to cut his cord, which is super cool. And the baby, Evelyn, we still call her the baby sometimes, Evelyn got to meet him, and Malia was there the whole time. She was there and watched me push him out and everything, which was awesome. I really wanted her to be able to see that, because she's watched like tons of birth videos with me leading up to this, and so I just think that was like really cool that she got to be there for that. So that is pretty much it. And then like once I was able to go pee and get settled back in bed and everything was good, they just like cleaned up. They, you know, cleaned up the pool. They even started a load of laundry, and they started like a pot of herbs, like sitz bath herbs for me to soak in the next day, and like just everything. They were awesome. I love midwives, and I love home births. That was like really awesome. And so they cleaned up and they went home, and everybody had enough time to like go home for dinner Christmas Eve. It was like the perfect timing, and we were able to actually just like chill and go to sleep and not have one person bother us in the middle of the night to take our vitals, get our menu, do this, do that. Like, oh my gosh, the postpartum period of home birth is like probably one of my favorite parts about the whole thing, because postpartum in the hospital is like just so annoying. Just so annoying compared to home birth. So we were actually able to get amazing sleep that night in between feedings and everything. And they came back the next day, you know, and like, or not the next day was Christmas. So it was like Saturday. They came back and they did his hearing screening right there in my bed. I didn't even have to get up. And they did his little heart screening thing and everything. And they like, you know, they brought the, let's see here, birth certificate paperwork, like everything that you would have done in the hospital, they literally just bring to your house. And so that was just like really convenient and really awesome that I didn't have to worry about any of that stuff, and I didn't have to go anywhere. And they did all the like, you know, newborn type of care and breastfeeding questions, and you know, one of the midwives is a certified lactation consultant, and so I could literally just text her with any questions I have. Like, it is just so amazing. Sorry, he's like getting a bit off my scene, so I was gonna pick him up. Oh, there you are. There's your little man. Oh. And so yeah, that is pretty much it for the birth story. Postpartum has been really awesome. I could maybe do a separate video on that, but it was just everything that I could have ever asked for. I highly recommend home birth, and if you're in the Eugene Springfield area or anywhere around here, Mid-Valley Birthing Services is really awesome. Really awesome midwives, and I'm just like really happy with my experience, and it went perfectly, and I got this little guy, and he's perfectly healthy. I'm perfectly healthy. So yeah, that is about it. I'll probably see you guys soon with some more updates, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.